Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the next round, and we've decided to jump groups. This is the Intel Extreme Masters qualifiers for Oakland. It is obviously called PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I'm Lee DMS Smith, and joining me is going to be matching for this. We've moved over to Group 4 for this one to see how things are going for the likes of Against All Authority.
Oh, and Against All Authority did such a great job yesterday. They're definitely going to be one of the people to watch inside of this round. Naturally, we also have PUBG team that's inside of here. New Order. We have a lot of different squads from different countries, actually. So it's going to be really interesting to see how we see, like, how different countries play PUBG inside of this round. Because we've seen a lot of solid play from all of these squads yesterday. Remember, everybody that's in round 2 had to qualify by getting top 5 inside of their group in a best of 3. They're going to have to play that in another best of 3 today to move on to the final best of 5 to find out who goes into IEM. You can tell that a little bit of nerves. Everybody's playing a little safe in round 1. That tends to be the common thing that you see in a best of 3. Everybody plays safe round 1, gets a little bit more comfortable in round 2, and really starts shooting it up in round 3.
Yeah, now what interests me in this one, All For Us are in here. Now they actually won 2 rounds in the game with G2, with AAA, etc. So they did very well yesterday. Now, can they carry that look through? Can they carry, I don't know, look or skill or whatever you want to call it? But 2 rounds, won. I see a number of ex-Dignitas Overwatch players in here as well, Artia and Drekius. So a number of players. It's something I've seen throughout, obviously, my PUBG experiences, the amount of players that have come across from multiple FPSs. Now this is a pretty tricky cut across, actually. This is going to cut the map very small.
It's going to make it to where it's really difficult to get to one of the favorite spots of Georgia Pool, specifically. With this plane pathing that's coming off just in the bottom corner, a lot of people are going to have to figure out, okay, do we go military base or do we just drop Milta? We can do an early push, maybe make it over towards the Asnaya. You can probably make it over towards school apartments, maybe Pachinki as well. You can see a lot of people are just kind of figuring out what to do. And we have a cluster of people all on top of Milta right now. Looks to be 2 different squads, maybe 2.5 squads post up over there.
One of them's
got a couple of people that are back over near military base. Milta doesn't tend to get this much attention, but specifically with the way that this plane came, I don't think that these squads have much choice. So it looks like we might see an early fight happening over in the Milta area. Maybe even up towards, everybody's doing a hard push up towards the north, looking towards Stalber, maybe doing some trash route. We might even see Kamishkis get a little bit of attention, and that's very uncommon.
Well, let's have a look into Milta, because this is Against All Authority already here. AA, the French team. Monkey has got himself a pistol, he's backing away. Oroxes has got a Mini 14 already. So let's see if he's got some ammo to go with that. Tell a lie, Scarrel. I thought I saw a Mini 14 on the ground, but it's a Scarrel. Over to the side, he's got himself that. In the restaurant. Let's have a look around. Anybody else? Shadow's found a VSS. Shiv's got himself an M4. And the other squad, I only see 2 members of it at the moment. Oh no, there's one round the back. Oh, they're behind. Well, this is a real interesting split, Milta.
This is made for a very difficult position. You can see that Against All Authority is going to have to figure out how they provide some level of cover for their
Monkey took a
teammate.
shot.
Oh, a couple of shots coming in. That's going to be really rough for them. So he's already down really low. Remember, this is very early inside of this. He's running around with the revolver right now. They haven't had a chance to really get meds. So really early skirmishes like this can be really, really harsh. You don't have time to med up, or you just might not have the meds for it, or the armor, the helmets. So it's going to be a fairly prolonged skirmish over here as everybody's just kind of going to push out. And Shiv got knocked down.
That's Oko. He's got the Mini 14, and that's Monkey's lit up, and now Shiv downed as well. They need Oroxes to help out here and get in, but he's kind of like in this awkward situation. Shadow is way off over the back left. Now I think, is he going to start heading this way? Yes, he is. So he's got himself an AKM, so he's coming over. But look at this. There's a push coming. Yuki's pushing around. Senkis is going to come up behind him. Hey, you're in trouble early on here.
It's all going to be about if Shadow can manage to get to a position to stop Yuki from pushing over. I don't think that he's going to make it in time. I think Yukihara is going to be able to make landfall, get along that wall, does manage to make it. So now it's going to come down to essentially how Shadow and Yuki play this and how they come across each other.
Oh, he comes right around the corner. Shadow lands the first shot. Should come out on top, but he has downed Yuki. So Shadow just about getting there in time. Can't peek around that corner too much because Oko had moved. So Oko back around the warehouse. Yeah, okay, let's push over. Oroxe's pushed over as well. He just took damage on the roof from, I think, First Ninja's pushing him.
And oh, he's in a little bit of trouble now. He's already taken about half of his damage, trying to retreat back. First Ninja's trying to get some damage off. Zinkus is also providing some damage off over there, but the shotgun comes in strong. So here we go. We've got 1 down and 1 kill on both sides, but this is going to allow both squads to kind of get a little bit of control on their side of Milta. Remember, these guys haven't had a good chance to really loot, and it looks like Monkey, Shiv, they're both pushing back out. They're just surrendering Milta back out.
Yeah, they've got to give up on it, and that's pretty. All credit to Senkis and First Ninja. They're pushing in. Oko still with the Mini 14, taking shots on Shadow. Shadow low as well. He's just about dashing out. They are not in the position to fight this, and this is going to hurt them late on in the game.
And I do like this retreat path that they're trying to take. They're playing along this little road area, trying to get back over towards these other buildings, get some loot, try to find some vehicles, because the circle is up, and it's on the western side of the map. So the skirmish, it's got to end very, very quickly, because everybody needs to get some type of loot to move into the late game. That's a big factor inside of this. When you get caught in these early fights, you really don't have a chance to get the loot that's necessary, so you're moving into Circle 2, Circle 3, still trying to loot, and that's the problem. But wow, we actually are having a little bit of a fight happening over in the apartments, as we just saw one person get killed.
Yeah, I'm Larry taking him down, and looks like that's maybe the end of that. Looks like the other squad have backed out into the hills. We haven't had an overall look, really. We just saw, obviously, that happening early on. So, let's have a look around the map. There's a squad going into Zaki. They've got themselves a ton of vehicles. Of course, the circle does come in very much over Georgia Pole, Gatka area, Corrie and Primor. So, a lot of it, basically the full western edge of the map. It does mean Pachinki is still in there. The Rozhok guys will have to move. There's a bunch of squads over on the far east as well. I want a couple, a squad in Lipovka, one over in the mansion area, so they're going to be passing on by each other. Even up in Kameshki mansion, even in Kameshki, some people actually went there in a pro game.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of teams actually call this kamikaze, because if you go there and you don't have a vehicle, you always end up too far away from the circle to be able to do anything. You have to remember the way that this airplane came in. No part of the airplane's path actually touched the circle. So everybody's just having to push all the way across the map from where they probably dropped at, you know, just PUBG things. But the guys that are up in Kamishki are going to have to push all the way across the island. It's going to be really rough for them. Now, the squads that did opt into dropping early, trying to secure a vehicle, and push over towards Georgia Pool, move over towards Gatka, they're going to get rewarded very, very strongly for this. You can see that we even have a squad that's down in Primorsk. This is a fairly safe circle, but it does make it look like we're going to be seeing maybe the plains of Gatka being a big factor inside of these rounds. And you're seeing a lot of the squads already moving into that centered up position, trying to catch people as they come into the circle.
All for us are currently in the little yellow outcrops. I think that's all for us. Maeve, WoW in there, Speedy, I'm pretty sure that is. I wonder if they're going to go for the bridge camp here with the setup for Sosnovka. There is a squad in there they could catch. There is obviously nobody else on the island, just these two guys, 4 guys already looting away. I'm looking towards Shadow and Co. Obviously, they did just get forced out of Milta. Now, that squad that forced them out, they are pushing up behind them.
Well, they have to make this path over here. So that's going to be the factor, is who gets a vehicle, who can manage to get out. You can tell by First Ninja and Cynics the way that they're moving. They haven't managed to secure one yet. They're still on foot. Now, a big question on this is, how's Military Base Island Squad going to pull out? Are they going to go over towards the western bridge? Usually that tends to be a little bit risky whenever you see like a bridge right on the edge of the circle. So they might opt into coming out and going towards that eastern bridge, which means that they'll drop right into these two squads that are slowly having to walk their way towards the circle.
Gatka covered out. I'm just having a look across around the minimap. There's a Yaznaya crew. I'm just looking really who has vehicles actually out of these guys. The ones that dropped over Mansion Way in prison, I don't see any vehicles for them at the moment. They're all still going on foot, which means they're pretty much lacking. Yaznaya vehicle has just been taken. So there's, okay, there we go. There's another one in the garage. Okay, so the crew that are in Yaznaya, they are set. Let's have a look at the Stauber guys. Okay, they've found one in Kameshki. The Kameshki guys have found one.
So they're pretty solid up. Naturally, we have just a couple of moments. The circle is starting to push its way in, so they're going to have to come back out and through. A big thing to keep an eye on is going to be this northeastern section of the circle over next to Rajok School. That's going to be where a little bit of a skirmish could potentially be happening. But as I say that, we're actually having one that's happening right around Gatka proper. As you can see, somebody is just driving right by one of the squads that's posted up over here. It's going to be Chris getting a nice down and a kill off of that, and a lot of damage coming out. Shepard's got near on no life. He's still having to drive away. Runs right up onto Sneaky Azrael, and so now Shepard's going to pull off, but I think he's going to find himself somewhere safe to stay at.
Just about got safe. I was watching the AA as well just before that happened. They had a vehicle stolen underneath them. So the US coming up behind them, so they have to get moving. Monkey's moving up to the next complex, but these guys that have been fighting them or hounding them, effectively hunting them throughout the entire game, are still pushing up.
I mean, we've all been in this situation before. You know that there's a squad back behind you. You still have to loot, so you're having to do this slow push. It's really forcing them to keep paying a lot of attention back behind them, make sure nobody comes up onto them. And so that's going to make the looting take a little bit longer. And every single time you have to wait a little bit longer, that just allows the distance to close a little bit more and a little bit more. And actually, it looks like Cynics, did they manage to secure a vehicle? Yes, you can see Oko is actually managed to get one and is pushing right over to where Monkey is at.
Monkey's found a Mini 14, though. He's in a much better situation before. We remember Oko had a Mini 14 as well. Now, is Monkey looking out the window at him? Yes, he is. Oko switches to the VSS. He's only got iron sights, though. He's going to get a clear angle, though. Oh, but he gets knocked straight away! Insta-knocked, and the rest of his team are nowhere near.
That's going to be it for him. He's just going to go down. You can see reinforcements are coming in. They don't have the eye in the sky like we do, so they're assuming that there might be more people over here. Nice reinforcements coming in really fast and strong. Right as soon as that down came out, you saw they hopped in a vehicle and they were like, we got your support. Just all around good teamwork coming through here, but they're only going to net this one kill. But now that they did manage to see that this kill, they get the down off of it. They're going to get the loot. It's going to require them to play a little bit slower now because they're like, okay, where's the rest of the team at? That's why they haven't really pushed up to get this kill onto Monkey yet. They're like, okay, are there more people upstairs?
Yeah, Monkey's just crawled into the far corner. He's like, leave me alone. But Shadow, they're off already. The rest of his team have left him. So he goes down. And wow, I mean, that was a very, very quick insta drop there. Headshot from Oko. Working very well. So Shadow is off. Shiv is with him. So they've both got themselves a UAZ. And that's going to make the task very hard for Against Our Authority here in the second round of the second game of the second round. There we go. It's tricky.
Well, they did manage to secure some vehicles, and they are pushing into the circle now. It's all going to be about where they choose into playing. Usually, if you've taken this much casualties early, you're going to lean into somewhere a little bit safer near the edge. You don't want to hard push into the center because that's too much risk. At this point, you have to assume that somebody's already posted up in that location. Now, they could choose to play this brave, but there is one downside to them having two different vehicles, is they don't have the ability to return fire. What you usually see is at least like 3 vehicles coming out of a squad with one of them having 2 in there, so at least you can like shoot some bullets back to say, hey, don't shoot at me, at least let one of our guys get through here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Shiv and Shadow probably play along this like southern area, try to find like maybe a couple of shacks. And speaking of vehicles and repositioning, you can see that right around Gatka we have a couple of vehicles that are trying to find somewhere to post up at. Bullets are coming back and forth. Looks like it's going to be the EXP teams getting some nice shots off, and Sneaky Azrael again really doing a good job of forcing people off of the invisible, or I guess I should say the ex-invisible buildings, as they are now on the map.
Yeah, indeed. Sneaky going to come straight through. So I was just looking at the exodus of vehicles, see how they're working out. Seems pretty decent at the moment. Most people are going to get in safe. There's a couple of blue runners still, but they will be in a moment. Still, don't forget, Georgia Pole is in there, the whole of Georgia Pole. A couple of squads coming in from the back of there. There we go, next circle. There's still a squad up in Severny, by the way, so they've got a long distance to travel. And it is going to move, once again, over to the west, very much the far west of the island. We may actually get a coastal finish here.
Which could be beneficial because we have 2 squads that are actually still inside of boats. They're taking a much longer route around, just trying to figure out how they want to come into the circle. Having these boats is going to allow them to still play on the outside of this and figure out where they might end up having to move into. So it's going to be interesting to see if they choose to make landfall and push for one of these coastal buildings, which looks to be pretty contested right now given the amount of vehicles that are going all over the place, or if they choose to stay into the water for a little bit longer, you know, live the marine life, and then push in whenever the next circle shows itself.
Well, continuing to follow Senkis' team, they've just managed to knock the vehicle off Tower Zero. He survived, he got out of it in time, but his vehicle now in flames, and the squad moving in on him. He's in a 1v3 situation. The rest of his team, where are they? Oh, they're coming behind. The rest of his team behind. But they've got no vehicle back there? No, they're sitting on the blue. I don't understand this right. Like, the blues come in. I know you got to sit on the blue, and there is 2 minutes. Oh, they have a vehicle. Okay. Ignore me.
This got to met up a little bit, but if you bring up the map real quick, look at all of these vehicles that are doing a hard push in right now. Probably have about 15, 20, and again, it's all coming down to this nice solid defense that we're seeing just south of Gatka. with the EXP guys and Sneaky Azriel, just making sure to force everybody out. There's several squads that have posted up, and you end up with these kind of crossfire locations with all of these vehicles just trying to push through. And First Ninja is actually taken down, so this is going to be very, very impactful. Remember, we were seeing them earlier. They were part of those Milta fights that were pushing through. So he's gotten down. The squad's having to figure out how they're going to do anything about this. But I think it's just turning into a little bit of a mess in the southern Gatka area as we're now seeing Cuds getting taken down. Nice kill coming out of Shiv. Good reposition, so two-man squad going to be able to pick up a little bit of loot on that. It's a little far away, so they might not opt into going over there. It's still pretty dangerous in this movement phase.
I was watching Drakeas out here. They've taken the ledge. They had tried to move up to the complex, but it's this beach area is a really nice ridgeline all along the beach. And while you are fairly exposed from the east and west, or north and south, I should say, in this situation, you have a very good trench along the roadside, which I think they're going to... Yeah, they're going to reposition to the yellow houses, so they're going to be safe. Everybody's starting to try and find a complex of their own, aren't they now?
Oh, there's a hard push that looks like it's coming over towards Sonics, and Sneaky Azriel doing some shots out. Yeah, it's going to force them back in a way. Looks like they were moving for there. I think that you're seeing this pathing that a lot of the squads are trying to take just to get set up in center. And they're pushing just south of Gatka and running right between what is going to be Nookie's squad and Sneaky Azriel's squad. We are having a little bit of a skirmish on the outside. Again, it's Cynic's first ninja. He did get rezzed, getting a knockdown onto Glorious E. You can see that Mud is trying to push out and around, but he's going to have to go on a very southern route and might push him over here next to Nors.
Let's follow his path in the buggy. Like you say, he's going to be running headlong into a four-man squad. Probably not ideal. Is he going to ditch it here and heal? I think he will.
With 66 people still up and active, you have to assume that every single hill, every tree has somebody back behind it. And the circle is moving in 5 seconds. You saw the notification come up. Depending on how he chooses to path, he doesn't have a lot of options here, unless he comes directly into the circle and essentially stops. I mean, he's going to run into Nors' team. If he pushes too far in, he's going to run into Shadow. Pushes any further north, he's going to run into Nookie. I mean, you can potentially play the quarry, but it's going to be pretty rough at this stage to opt into going for the quarry because you can kind of end up trapped in there if you're not too careful.
Yeah, it's got those high edges. We saw it yesterday when the EU games. People trapped down the side of it, someone above it. Senkis' team continuing to take shots. This time they've downed Pristine. These guys are making a name for themselves here as they continue to land the shots.
They're just doing a good job of forcing everybody out and around. They are having to hop into their vehicles. Are they going to go and finish off this and get the loot on it? It does look like they are. So it's going to be really interesting. There is another individual that's running up back behind them. He's going to be coming around First Ninja's angle. Well, no, First Ninja's going to take any shots at him. And yes, does see him doing a hard push. Nurse looked like he was going to potentially go for a run over, pushing off to the side, but that's put him in a really rough spot. Already got knocked down to about 3/4 of his life, but I think that now that everybody's out inside, they're trying to figure out how they're going to play around this. So a Nurse looks like he might be able to manage to make it back out in safety. And I do think that we saw that Mud did manage to make his push as well. So 63 people all up and active, and it's just like you were talking about a second ago, D-Man. This western coast looks like where a lot of the little skirmishes are happening. Lots of bullets being traded back and forth. Everybody's in these little small buildings posted up. A lot of individuals kind of spread out here and there, or like two-man squads posted up. Yeah,
they're starting to spread themselves a little bit. I'm going to keep my eye on RTA because he's got a vehicle coming towards him. He's just managed to pick up that UAZ. And look at this, there's a squad coming straight in. But the problem is RTA's going back to his team. So he has the cover fire. It's Pazui. They're just trying to find a home right now. Sorry, this land is occupied. So they're going to move on. There's more shots going on at Gatka. It's just a lot of cross-building shots right now, actually.
It's everybody that's just trying to find somewhere to go to. They're running into all of these horrible locations. You know, you're thinking about, oh, let's go along the west side. It should be empty. But no, not this game. It's just absolutely covered with people right now. Yeah, instead, Pazui's teammates, Alfie, they're basically just thinking, okay, we don't really have a house. We're going to have to live in the swamp. This is our life now. We're going to have to move into the swamp. Let's have a look. The second circle, or the third circle, I should say, comes in, and it is going to be the coastal area once again. And this is going to be a really interesting circle, all things considered, because we have everybody that's made landfall. We have people that post up around the swamp. Naturally, this big hill that's going to be on the eastern side of the safe zone is going to be a big factor in it. This is that stage where everybody knows, okay, this is going to be a real harsh circle, 61 people alive, need to hop in my vehicles and need to go. Mud's in a little bit of trouble as he's getting shot on the southern side. He's down to a sliver of life, probably about a fifth of his life left. He's still on the outside of the blue trying to make a path in. So he is finally going to start coming his way in and going to just immediately abandon the vehicle and get something out of that. But a lot of these guys are already opting into coming directly into the circle.
Did you notice Mud actually did manage to kill one member of that squad? That's pretty ballsy, you know, 1v4, to knock a member and then just like, I'm off. So he managed to kill him. He didn't even just knock him, he killed him, finished him off, got out of there quickly. Let's have a look. Shiv's moving in. Shiv and Shadow, but Shadow's got someone on his back. So Shiv's managed to, roll it, but he managed to survive. Shadow's going to come in. They've got a really nice ridge line here, but Shadow has a follower. And actually, they backed off. They had a vehicle coming piling in behind him. So they've managed to get themselves into position. Now, they moved into these little swamp houses. A lot of cover around here. A lot of ridge lines as well to give themselves any coverage they need. Let's have a look at the rotations. Matchroom. Let's see where everybody's going, because there's a lot of people that have got to get moving. There's a couple that are still stuck in engagements that aren't moving, and that's what I'm looking at, Corky and Calvin.
And those are so detrimental right now. If you get caught into fights at this stage, you have a minute in order to make it in the circle. A lot of these guys are still like 500 meters away from making it inside the circle, and the circle is very, very dense. So if you get caught in these skirmishes on the outside, you're essentially signing your own death warrant. At some point, you just have to say, I can't be involved in this. We just have to go. And it looks like we're finally starting to see most of these squads just say, okay, we just can't be a part of this. If we take casualties, it's just time to get out of Dodge.
So guys, I'm just asking for a group. It is group 4. There is only 4 groups, so it doesn't take too much to look at on the website to see exactly where you want to see, but it is group 4. The guys, they have a long run. Look at this. They're at the quarry right now. They're going to go all the way around the quarry. That's a long hump around there to get there. It's not just a straight direct route they can take. Muddo is still going. Still going there. Oh, a knock in the building. Shiv and Shadow, they've got Alfie moving in. Let's have a look at Shiv's perspective, or Shadow, whichever one I can find first. They have a, well, I said 2-man squad. It's a 2-man squad versus a 2-man squad. Are they going to move in, Alfie? No, they're just going to be happy in the Harry Potter or Wizard's Tower. What do you call this one? It's got so many names.
I always just refer to it as the Sniper Tower, just for logic based off of it. I know some people call it the Harry Potter, some people call it Wizard. I get the mindset. It looks like one of those like old school like Wizard Towers or Castle Crenellations, but I mean they're nice to have. But with a 2-man versus 2-man squad, this is going to be really interesting to see how the swamp area plays out. And man, there are a lot of bullets popping off around the swamp area right now. So you can see that Prenok has gotten knocked down. It's all of these people that are coming in real late. We've talked about this beforehand. Coming late into the circle is so rough because there's just so many people already posted up, just waiting to catch you as you're driving in. Seeing multiple people getting down, multiple kills coming out, and it does look like we're starting to see that western coastline just getting more and more filled as everybody's opting away from the hill and the swamp.
Oh, Tizok taken down. Suppressed shots. He didn't know where from. They were from directly behind him. They're actually in the ridgeline. He does manage to get inside, so he should be able to get picked up by his teammate. Calvin manages to find Sonics. That's still on the edge, so they're continuing that battle. Let's have a look at Calvin. Oh, really up close. Calvin gets down. It's Oil Pocket versus Millor. And I think it's going to be the last two standing. Millor gets him down and just about survives. Lost the vehicle, the wheel, and the blue coming in just on the line. Okay, next circle. And it moves away, alas, from the beach line. And it will be bang center with the swamp in play. And look at Shiv and Shadow. They are bang center of the circle now. And they're taking shots, I think, the squad next to them.
Having a little bit of a fight that's happening. As you can see, Reaper of Points is back behind them. Alfie's already gotten down. Wella is the last person really up and active in this area for that squad. Trying to figure out if we can make it over to Alfie. I think it's just going to close the door. We'll back off to the side. But this is a really nice play coming out from Shadow and Shiv. Ended up getting a little bit of circle luck inside of this. So they had a rough early game, but they now have a solid position inside this. They just have to make sure to scare everybody off. And speaking of scaring everyone off, D-Man, look at the western side of the safe circle. There are so many squads stacked up on top of each other right now, just in these little mini skirmishes, just trying to fight for some level of control. And plenty of squads that still haven't come in, but are probably going to be approaching around this area. The western side of this is just going to be a bloodbath.
Muddo managed to find himself a boat somewhere. He's still going. He's still going out on the ledge. As you mentioned, these guys are starting to make their way in. Senkis and First Ninja, they're the guys we followed right at the beginning. It's a big crossfire, actually. He's looking at Scorpion. These guys, they're on the ridgeline, but they're caught between a bunch of complexes. They've got a squad below them on the ridge. There's a squad behind them in a house. There's a squad to the north of them staring at them. They are just absolutely pinned. They've thrown smoke down, try and give themselves as much cover as they can.
It's going to be really nice for them to be able to play inside of this little divot. You can see that there are a lot of shots going back and forth. Cynics and First Ninja, they're just doing a hard run right over here next to Star QTV. They managed it. This is a nice run-up. They knew that they had to come in on foot, So they made a path and allowed the building to provide cover fire for them. So, or cover for them, not cover fire, and then run straight up inside this. So they managed to secure an easy path in on what could have been a very detrimental push. But this now makes what? Within about 150 meters, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squads all posted up with some type of line of sight on each other.
And Blade just opened the door and had a little peek out there. I think he was just lucky that they don't have a view on the second floor of that. I think a lot of these guys have been caught up in basically staring the other way. I think they've just been...
Look at this. On the outside of it, we've got Kukuri is on the outside. Managed to get a nice kill onto Stark UTV. Bring out the grenades, getting ready to throw those up. So with this a little bit of a distraction on the other side, it's allowed First Ninja, Cynics, and Oku to kind of set up and get something, some level of positioning. They're just looking through the windows off to the other side to figure out what's going on. But you can see that Scourge A-Plan is looking off to the side. This is just turning really bad for the squad that's posted up inside of this white building here. I know that's a very awkward positioning on the inside, but they're entirely surrounded. They can't even peek windows right now without having bullets come their way.
And there's a squad in the blue, and that's going to start hurting. They're getting shots from Oko, Senkis, and First Ninja. So while that's all happening, Kuki's still got this grenade cooked, tries to toss it in there, doesn't manage to land it. He's just causing a real nuisance right now, and that's buying time for Scorpion and Co. Look at that on the hillside. Are they going to start pushing him maybe on this building? It's going to get very, very crowded in a minute.
Oh, next circle has populated, and again, Shadow is in a nice spot for this. So Shadow Shiv in a good spot there, living over there in their
making the move.
Still praying nobody looks up, and here we go. We've got the press coming in off on the side here.
Yeah, they're making the move. Bashti, Proxy, they've gone up and around the edge. Conky's just distracting them so much, they're not really paying attention to the ridge line. Door open, First Ninja looking at maybe coming out, and he's going to try and take a peek out towards Long. Oko takes a push, Longo gets down. Are they going to be aware of the Kunky's nades, I think, landed there. Dynamo down, so Blade the only man standing. They're not going to expect Kunky. Kunky pops around, he will get down by Senkis, but he did damage. First Ninja got down, he'd be able to get back up. Blade, the last man standing, he's taking shots from the ridge line. So 4 squads all fighting it out there. I'm trying to keep as much as I can coverage with the outside camera. And let's have a look at the mid, because we haven't actually looked. And Shadow and Co. Look at this Alfie, actually. Alfie's about to get pushed. RTA, oh, the grenade missed. Flex trying to toss it in. That grenade will get through. Alfie, Booley, they are basically in trouble right now. Flex is going to take the push up. Tries to find Alfie. He's going to get down. It's a 1-for-1. RTA pushes in. There goes Booley. That's going to be the squad wipe. RTA get himself the double.
That was a nice angle that they held. They made sure to do the damage that they could before they went down. Now that they're going to be able to post up, they're going to have some level of control of this wizard tower. Going to be interesting to see how Shadow and Shiv play around this, as now we're starting to get a little bit more aggression coming out inside of the swamp. And the swamp is a very awkward place to fight in, just due to like the speed that you can end up moving at, the paths that you have to take. But we have several squads kind of posting up and around the swampland area now. So it's going to be interesting to see how these pushes come out. We do actually see that Kunkuri is still bleeding out and crawling off to the side over here. Our squads that were posted up on here, get down Chris, and see, looking like they're trying to push over here. They're going to maybe pick up the last bit of this kill. But Blade is the last person over here. Sinkis, as we can see, Oko and Ninja are all kind of positioned up inside. Looks like Blade did do a jump out, but yep, we're going to see a kill secured coming out from Get Down Chris.
So Kunky, well, yeah, Kunky goes down, but they're going to get nailed. They've both been down. They pushed out. Senkis, First Ninja, and Oko pushed out, and that's tragic because it's Blade, the team that were in the house originally. They didn't clear him out the top floor, and he manages to shoot them all in the back. Now, Scorplan and Bashti, he's got himself a prime position because his teammates, they need to get up. So Scorplan's trying to play tragic, but he's in the open. Bashti, the last man standing. Blade could take these guys out as well. Blade pushes in there. Bashti low. He gets him down. Blade gets himself a double squad wipe.
That was just some solid play coming out from Blade, getting some revenge for the people that took his teammates down. But now he's in a fairly good spot, all things considered. All he has to do is move north. He is the last person all by himself. You can see just to the north there are 2 people that are posted up over here. The next circle is going to be essentially plains, and that's it. So he's got the little bit of high ground, a little bit of a divot that he can play into. So he's got a good line of sight onto it. All of our swampland teams are going to have to push back out and move into this open area. And D-Man, there's just not a lot of cover here. There's bushes, some little trees, but not anything to really break fire lines. It's just wide out in the open with a couple little defilades that you can play as far as like the ground breaks go.
Yeah, it's actually Kunky's teammates that are actually on the little ridge line here. If you look towards the left side, obviously you've got a little bit of hill there, which is what Just Insane, etc. are basically making use of. Then there's a big sloping downhill that's not in the circle. So if you just look at the actual circular area, there's just nothing, is there? There's nothing at all. So all of these squads are going to have to start making moves. Now, let's have a look towards AA. They were in there. Oh, actually, Twitch Blade's getting another one, I think. Did Blade just get another kill? He just definitely took shots. Somewhere he went down. Taylor's the man that got the kill in the end.
Taylor that snuck up. I think Taylor snuck up, and they got him in a little bit of a crossfire. Here we go. We're down to 17 people. 8 seconds before this next circle. This is going to be really rough. You can see people are starting to do a little bit of a push across the swamplands, positioning up. Now we come over here with Shadow and Shiv. Look at how many people are actually right next to them. This is going to be really rough. All of these guys are going to have to push back out, and we have about 4 different little squads that are posted up. Not all 4-mans, but they're going to have to start pushing their way through. Reaper of points coming in, and this is going to be a really, really rough fight.
Shadow and Shiv are going to get behind him. So Leary and Milkas are on the left there. Drakeus around the corner. Shiv's going to come around the corner. Shadow should find him. There's Flex straight in the back. That's both of them down. RTA just over the ridgeline. He's in the shots as well. They're in the blue, remember, so they have to heal, and he's going to chunk them. Shiv should... No, he got down. Oh, they both went down to the zone. They're both down to the zone. There's 7 people remaining, and it's just 4 squads split out. 5. I can't
Blade
count.
that's still tanking in the blue outside. Looks like he's trying to do a push-in. I think he's just tanking for positioning off over there to the side. For shame, Blade. You are killing everyone. Be brave. Run into the circle, my friend. But we've got Mikas that's actually the only person that survived from the swampland area. He's just playing inside of a bush. We've got Taylor that's off over here that's kind of in a bush as well. But the real big factors are probably going to be Just Insane and his teammate that are going to be posted up on the side. And then over here we've got Nors and Mav that are going to be positioned up. Everybody's just kind of living the bush Wookiee life right now, hoping that nobody can kind of see them. Everybody's kind of laying down. And at this point, with as many kills as Blade got, he's just going to be tanking that blue for forever.
Yeah, you got to feel that Just Insane, probably because they have the hill line, probably going to be the last to push up. They're slowly creeping forward now, look, starting to look around. Now, they're going to be careful they don't get spotted early on before this is required. There are shots coming out. That's going to be Twitch Blade going down at last. He died outside the area, but obviously got a little tag up. So Mavewow in here. So that is all for us. Remember these guys, they won 2 games in the same squad rounds that had Against All Authority, that had G2, that had Big Clan. So they are very experienced guys. They've done very well so far in the qualifiers. They have 2-man. Taylor and Milkas very close to each other actually in the bushes right now.
And everybody's just trying to fight for some level of positioning. Here we go. We've got the circle that's pushing in. This is where the smokes are going to start coming out. Everybody's trying to figure out where everybody's at. There's been a couple of bullets going back and forth, but nobody really giving away their position yet. Just Insane. Looks like he thinks that there's somebody off to what would be the southern side of it. They're coming out. Everybody's just tossing out the grenades now where they think that people are at. Like, okay, let's just throw out the grenade salvo. Nobody around here, nobody around there. And is everybody actually just going to sneak into this next circle?
Well, Taylor spotted Milkas, I think. He knows that something just came out over there. As soon as he gets in that area, can he see him?
Nobody died in that circle. That's so
that
insane.
bush. Look at the bush. It's just covering him. I think Taylor sees him. Let's go Taylor's angle.
Up. Yeah, he knows. They seem to know. Like, they're both looking at each other's directions. They're like, okay, there's something going around.
Oh, Justin's moving. Justin's moving. He's going for the flank. It's a very open one. Taylor's staring straight over that direction, but he can't see him because of the cornfields. So, very ballsy play. Justin taking shots. He sees someone. But that's going to open him up. Mavewow at the moment and Norse are in a very good position because they are just staying prone and they're going to have a perfect cross angle on them.
And this is the problem. Whenever you step forward and you think that you see someone, you take those shots, you've now given away your position. Everybody's looking back over. So where we saw that Just Insane had a great positioning beforehand, he's now down. You really can't get the res off. There's no cover from back behind him. So Just Insane's just got to go out. And a nice grenade just to finish that off. Molotov's coming out as well, making sure to give him the Viking funeral.
Oh, Milkas taking shots
coming out, look at this. Mikas is actually doing a push off to the side. Taylor's following up back behind him like, hey, this is probably where these guys at. And Taylor just gets up and jumps over.
Yeah, so Taylor pushes in. Fetz knows exactly where they are. So Taylor comes rushing in. A little too close. Mikas, in the end, backstabs him. They had a pact. He didn't live to it. Mikas gets himself one. Now down to the final 3. And all for us looking very good with the only 2 alive. Mavewow with the circle on them as well. Let's have a look. Fet's got to crawl. He's got to crawl. He's got to get going, but he's on the hill. And Maeve is pretty exposed right now. Fetch just needs just a stand up and he would see him instantly.
And this is where it gets really interesting / awkward at this point. Everybody's laying down. They're trying to get what information they can. 4 people alive. So all the squads know, okay, I'm a 2-man. Like, even if you're the 2-man squad, you have to know, okay, worst, we're just fighting against another 2-man. And that's going to be the assumption that you're going to take. So you're just going to end up playing this really safe. Mav does manage to get over next to this dead body, so he's going to be able to get a little bit of extra loot out of this. You can see that they seem to know where Mikes is. But right now, Fett is just doing a good job, being really, really quiet, and he's been hearing all of these shots, so he could potentially pop up and do something on this. But everybody is just trying to figure out where everyone is at. We're at that last circle, so it's going to be a final collapse point. If you guys haven't seen one of these before, a little spot's going to appear, and the entirety of the circle is going to collapse down and force everybody to fight until there is only blue zone remaining. So I think it's all going to come down to how we see Nors and Mav play this out. It looks like they're finally doing the smart thing, taking two different angles, making sure that whenever one of them pops up, they're like, okay, we think Mikes is over there. Oh, man, did that give away his position? Yeah, Mikes is like, oh, I saw that.
I think Fett saw him as well.
Yeah, Fett did reposition. Okay, so this could be really interesting now, depending on this. He's looking the wrong way. Nice shots coming out of Fett, getting that down on that. So Fett did manage to get the knockdown. Now it's essentially a 1v1v1.
So Maeve's just going to try and use basically his body to spot people. He's going to try and crawl back. He's going to give Norse away if he crawls that direction, because Fett's just watching. Fett's just watching it happen. Back into position. He's no way he's ever going to be able to get up and get his buddy alive. Surely, as soon as he does that, he's a dead man.
Well, this is where throwing all your grenades earlier was really rough, because with his repositioning coming back over here, you have to think, okay, surely he's not giving away his teammate's position. But he is going for it. If he gets this res, this is going to be huge.
Mikes, is he staring at them? Mikes, I don't, because they're in the cornfield, you can't really see. Just like anybody that would have stood up would have seen that completely. Norse now gets around the side. Maeve's even going to get a heal off.
But that is going to feed information over to Fett as well as Mikes. They have to go, okay, we saw the reposition coming out. We saw the crawl back out. So we know that they're in this general vicinity. Res coming up. Look at that. And getting back up to full life. That could have been a tide turner right there. And now Mav is just getting up. And they're pushing over towards Mikes.
So Fett got to be seeing them. Mikes is going to take the shots. Mikes gets down. Fett's going to maybe open up the shots. Let's have a look at Fett. Fett gets up. Gets a shot onto Mao. Gets himself made down. Gets up and down. And Norse is pretty low as well. It's risky. Norse is going to get himself up in the air. Doesn't really quite know where Fett is sitting. Fett's going to pop the first aid. Is Norse going to try and risk it and get Maeve up? I'm not too sure. If I was Maeve, I would just use himself his position to try and get the information for Norse. Just crawl in and try and find him.
Sometimes you actually see somebody coming out and using their teammates as cover in a situation like this. They'll crawl in front of him, give him a slow push in. Fett had a good opportunity there, but it's pretty risky to continue that fight. So he opted into trying to get more life back. And look at this. They're just crawling at each other at this point.
Fett thinks he's on the right. He thinks he's on the right.
Circle's collapsing down now. This is going to be it. Fett is actually inside the blue first. This is going to be really rough. He's going to have to pop it. He has to go for these shots. It's too late, though. So that's going to allow Nors, Mav, Fincock, and Speedy to get first place.
I'm pretty sure that's all for us that just took a win again. So they took 2 wins yesterday in the same qualifiers that had AAA, they had G2, it had Big Clan, it had so many names in there, and they took another win against them. Obviously, you could look at Against Authority, they had a really rough start. They did very well to get 6th place, I think, overall. Shadow and Shiv sort of carrying them pretty hard there, but obviously Oroxe's been sitting out for the last 40 minutes. He's probably seething right now and desperate to get back underway. Really interesting finish though. Very slow finish. Probably the slowest finish we've seen so far in these Oakland qualifiers.
Yeah, it's not too common anymore that you actually see a final point collapse lead to the end fight. Usually you'll see somebody that kind of pushes back out. But that's kind of what happens in first person whenever you get into like these little fields fights. Everybody's trying to play for positioning, so they're laying down. Nobody wants to go out. They don't want to surrender those points because you have to remember the points for this are very top heavy for coming in first, second, third, fourth. Naturally, the lower end you come in this, it just makes it harder and you have to secure more kills. But what's really interesting is look at the kill spread off of this. I mean, you can see that not a lot of kills like we saw in game 1 going to the first team. Really, it's going to be down closer to like Squad 4 with Taylor, where he has 6 kills himself. You can see that Blade did manage to secure those 4 kills earlier. That's going to be where a lot of the kills come in. Like Squad 3 has several kills as well, but Squad 1 and Squad 2 kind of leaned into a little bit more of a sneaky strategy.
Well, we are going to move back over to, I believe, Group 2 next, which is obviously the one we saw at the start. A lot of stacked teams in there, actually. So let's jump over to that one. We won't have too much of a delay between these games because the lobby is already ready. Match them 2 games down, many more to go. We'll be back after the break.